You're about to meet someone who might just change the way you think about aging. Her name is Helen. She's 92 years old, lives in a small town in Iowa, and yes, she still drives herself to the store. Not only that, she dances at church gatherings, hosts birthday lunches for her friends, and leads a weekly crochet group. But perhaps the most surprising thing? She hasn't been sick in more than 30 years. No colds, no flu, no major illness. Just steady, vibrant health. Now, when people hear that, they usually assume she must have won the genetic lottery. But if you ask Helen, she'll tell you something else entirely. In her own words, people think aging means decline. I say aging means doing more of what keeps you going. Helen's story isn't about rare luck or special DNA. It's about small, consistent choices she's made, every single day for decades. 5 simple habits that she follows without fail. And here's the encouraging part. These aren't things that require money, perfect health, or even a gym membership. They're doable, no matter your age. What Helen has figured out isn't a secret. It's a roadmap, one that anyone can follow. Over the next hour, we're going to walk you through each of the 5 habits that have helped Helen stay strong, independent, and full of life well into her 90s. And we'll show you how other older adults across the country, just like Helen, have started using these habits to change their own lives. You'll meet Ronald from Georgia, who eased decades of stiffness with one small shift to his mornings. You'll hear from Mildred in New Jersey, who turned loneliness into laughter with one weekly call. These stories, along with Helen's, are a reminder that healthy aging isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up for yourself day by day. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand what Helen does, you'll have a step-by-step guide to try it for yourself. So take a breath, grab a notepad if you like, and settle in. The road to feeling better, thinking clearer, and living more fully is closer than you think. Let's begin with the habit Helen never skips, her morning ritual that sets the tone for everything that follows. Habit number 1, she moves every morning before 9 a.m. Helen's mornings begin the same way every day, no matter the season. Before the clock strikes 9, she's already out the door or circling the inside of her home. 20 minutes of walking, followed by 5 minutes of simple balance exercises at her kitchen counter. One leg up, then the other, hands lightly resting for support. No music, no apps, just her, the quiet of the morning and the rhythm of a body in motion. She started this ritual at 62, after waking up stiff and achy one too many times. "If I don't move early, I stiffen up by lunch," she says with a laugh. That simple realization turned into a non-negotiable part of her routine. And more than 30 years later, her knees are still strong, her posture steady, and her energy high. There's science behind what Helen feels. According to researchers at Johns Hopkins Medicine, gentle movement early in the day improves circulation, enhances joint flexibility, and even sharpens mental focus. When we move in the morning, our blood carries more oxygen to the brain and muscles, which can reduce pain, boost mood, and help us feel more awake. For older adults, this is especially important. Staying active helps preserve mobility, balance, and independence. Ronald, a 78-year-old from Georgia, can back this up. He spent years waking up with tight hips and sore feet. "It got to the point where I dreaded getting out of bed," he recalls. Then he saw a story about Helen and decided to give her approach a try. He started with just a 10-minute walk before breakfast. Nothing fancy, just laps around his driveway. By the end of 2 weeks, the stiffness had started to fade. "I'm still creaky, but now I move easier and I smile more," he says. "It's like I reminded my body how to be alive." You don't need to walk for miles to get the benefit. Even a short stretch while the coffee brews can begin to shift how your body feels. If balance is a concern, walking poles or a cane can help you feel more secure. Some folks begin indoors, pacing gently from room to room, building confidence before heading outside. What matters most is consistency. Your body loves rhythm. You might even keep a little notepad on the counter or by your bedside. Track how your joints and mood feel each day. After a week, you'll start to notice changes. Maybe fewer aches, a bit more pep in your step, even clearer thinking. This small window before breakfast can be a powerful reset. It's not about how far or how fast. It's about reminding your body that it still works, still moves, still matters. And as Helen would say, The earlier you get going, the better the rest of your day feels. But of course, movement is just the start. What you put in your body next plays an equally big role in how you feel. Let's look at what Helen eats, and more importantly, what she avoids. Habit number 2, she eats colorful, real food and skips the tricky stuff. Helen's meals aren't fancy, but they're packed with color and made with care. She keeps her kitchen stocked with fresh vegetables, fruits, oats, fish, and olive oil. Most of what she eats comes from the earth and not a package. If you ask her about fast food, she'll smile and say, "I haven't been through a drive-thru since 1989. She doesn't count calories or chase the latest diet trend. Instead, she focuses on what she calls real food, ingredients she can pronounce, meals she cooks herself, and flavors that come from herbs, not hidden sugar. Her go-to dinner: grilled salmon, steamed spinach, a roasted sweet potato, and a handful of blueberries for dessert. It's colorful, filling, and as she puts it, the kind of meal that leaves you feeling good, not sleepy." Medical research backs Helen's choices. Both the Mayo Clinic and the National Institutes of Health highlight anti-inflammatory diets as powerful tools for healthy aging. When you eat mostly plant-based foods, healthy fats, and lean proteins, and skip the ultra-processed snacks and sugary drinks, you support your immune system, lower inflammation, and reduce your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. Patricia, a 70-year-old from Oregon, had always relied on microwave meals. "I thought I was too tired to cook," she admitted, but after learning about Helen's routine, she gave it a try. She started small, making big batches of roasted veggies on Sundays and swapping soda for warm lemon water in the morning. After 3 months, her blood pressure came down, and her doctor noticed her energy had returned. "I feel younger," Patricia said, "not just physically, mentally too." That's the quiet power of real food. You don't need to be a gourmet chef. Start by adding more color to your plate. Aim for at least 3 natural colors at each meal: greens, oranges, purples, reds. These pigments often signal powerful nutrients your body thrives on. It also helps to prepare ingredients ahead of time. A container of sliced carrots or cooked quinoa in the fridge makes healthy eating feel less like a chore, and Helen swears by her morning ritual of sipping warm lemon water. "It wakes up my stomach," she says, "and it feels like a clean start." Food is more than fuel. It's medicine, joy, and connection. Helen believes that what she eats is one of the clearest ways she tells her body, "I care about you." Of course, what we eat matters deeply, but how we use our minds and the purpose we give to each day is just as vital. Helen's next habit is all about keeping the brain sharp and the heart full. Habit number 3, she keeps her mind busy and her purpose clear. Every morning after Helen finishes her walk, she settles into her favorite chair with a cup of tea and the newspaper. It's a habit she's kept for decades, not just to stay informed, but to give her mind something new to chew on each day. She circles interesting articles, writes questions in the margins, and sometimes even cuts out pieces to share with her friends at church. But her mental sharpness doesn't come from reading alone. Once a week, Helen volunteers at the community thrift store. She works the register, chats with regulars, and helps sort donations. And on Saturdays, she teaches a crochet class in the church basement, passing on skills she learned as a teenager to a mix of neighbors, some in their 30s and others well into their 80s. If your day has no meaning, it has no movement, Helen says. That's her way of reminding us that without purpose, it's easy to start drifting. You can have a full calendar and still feel empty if there's no heart behind what you do. The science lines up. According to Cleveland Clinic researchers, staying mentally engaged builds what's called cognitive reserve, essentially your brain's backup system. And having a sense of purpose has been linked to longer life, fewer depressive symptoms, and stronger memory. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be yours. Tom, an 80-year-old from Pennsylvania, knows how it feels to lose that spark. After he retired, his days started blending together. "I felt invisible," he admits. Then he heard about Helen's volunteer work and thought, maybe I can do something too. He signed up to help at a local food bank, just one morning a week. Within a month, everything started to shift. "I got my energy back, my memory improved, And I laughed more in that warehouse than I had in years. There are so many ways to keep the mind active and the spirit engaged. Maybe you love books. Try listening to audiobooks while you walk or tidy the house. Maybe you've got a green thumb. Join a gardening club or teach others how to start seeds. Helen often says, everyone knows something worth passing on. If you can teach someone a card game, a recipe, or even how to fix a loose button, you're already giving your brain and your life more meaning. Daily journaling can help too. Jotting down what you're grateful for or what you learned today gives your mind something to reflect on and helps track personal growth in the simplest of ways. Keeping your mind engaged and your purpose alive isn't about staying busy for the sake of being busy. It's about doing things that light you up inside, things that remind you you're not just passing time, you're still building a life. And speaking of building, Helen believes the strongest foundation for a long life is connection with others. But this next habit is one many people over 60 tend to let slip away. Habit number 4. She stays connected, even when it's inconvenient. Helen doesn't wait for people to call her. Every morning, after her walk and breakfast, she picks one person, an old friend, a cousin, sometimes even a neighbor's grandchild, and makes a call. It might be just 10 minutes to check in, swap a joke, or say happy birthday. On weekends, she writes letters by hand, often with a newspaper clipping tucked in or a photo from a church event. It's my way of saying, I see you and you still matter, she says. She also organizes birthday lunches for her friends, making sure no one celebrates alone. Sometimes it's just soup and sandwiches at her dining table. Other times they meet at the town cafe. We laugh, we share memories, and we remind each other we're still living, not just surviving. It's more than a kind gesture, it's vital medicine. The long-running Harvard study of adult development, one of the most respected longevity studies ever conducted, found that strong relationships are the single greatest predictor of health and happiness as we age. Not diet, not income, not even genetics. Connection is what keeps people mentally sharp and emotionally resilient. Helen puts it simply, people need people, even if it's just for a 10-minute hello. She knows it's not always convenient. Friends move away, family members get busy, but she keeps showing up. And that choice, repeated daily, builds a kind of quiet strength that science now proves can reduce the risk of depression, delay cognitive decline, and even lower inflammation in the body. Mildred, 82, from New Jersey, felt the sting of isolation after her husband passed. I didn't want to bother anyone, she said. But after hearing about Helen's daily outreach, she made a plan. She started hosting weekly tea calls with her cousins, just 20-minute phone chats while they sipped tea in their own kitchens. That small change became the highlight of her week. I feel connected again. I laugh. I remember who I am. There are countless ways to stay socially engaged, even if you're not big on phone calls or crowds. Try setting up one standing phone call a week with a friend or family member. No agenda, just connection. If you're comfortable with technology, send a video message to a grandchild or join a Facebook group centered on a hobby you enjoy. Senior centers, walking groups, choirs, and community classes offer regular chances to see familiar faces and meet new ones. And even brief moments of connection, a smile at the grocery store, a chat on the porch, can lift the spirit in surprising ways. And now we've arrived at Helen's final daily habit, and it just might be the most surprising, joyful practice of all. Habit number 5, she laughs on purpose. Every day, Helen makes room for a real, belly-shaking laugh. Sometimes it comes from an old black and white comedy she's watched a dozen times. Sometimes it's from a joke her friend Clara tells her on their Wednesday call. And sometimes it's something as simple as her cat knocking over the laundry basket. Whatever the source, Helen believes laughter is not just a bonus in life, it's essential. If I can laugh today, she says, I know I'm doing something right. That belief isn't just charming, it's backed by science. According to the National Institutes of Health, laughter triggers a powerful set of physical responses. It lowers stress hormones like cortisol, eases blood pressure, boosts immune function, and releases endorphins, the body's natural mood elevators. It's like a full-body reset, and it doesn't cost a thing. Helen even keeps what she calls a laugh journal. At the end of each day, she writes down one thing that made her smile or laugh out loud. Some days it's a funny typo in a church bulletin. Other days it's a memory that popped up when someone mentioned an old song. The world's still funny, she says. You just have to catch it in the act. George, 76, from Arizona, discovered this the hard way. After a hospital stay, he struggled with low energy and a gloomy outlook. I didn't feel like myself, he shared. Then he heard about Helen's habit and decided to try watching a 10-minute comedy clip during lunch. Just something lighthearted, classic sitcoms or family bloopers. Within a week, he noticed a shift. I started looking forward to laughing again. And when you do that, it changes everything. Laughter can be a lifeline, especially during hard seasons. It doesn't erase problems, but it loosens their grip. Even just anticipating a funny moment can trigger a positive stress response in the brain. That means the act of looking forward to joy can be healing in itself. If laughter hasn't been part of your routine, there are easy ways to begin. Watch an old sitcom you loved decades ago. Look up blooper reels on YouTube or clean stand-up clips. Call someone who always tells great stories, or trade a funny memory with a grandchild. Some folks even keep a giggle list, a running collection of things that never fail to spark a smile. And if you're journaling, try noting the day's funniest moment. It can train your brain to look for light, even on tougher days. Joy doesn't have to be loud or flashy to make a difference. Sometimes it's a snort of laughter over the morning crossword. Other times it's a chuckle in the produce aisle when someone accidentally calls a zucchini a cucumber. Helen says the trick is to stay open to delight, because the moment you do, life gets lighter. We've explored Helen's 5 simple habits. They're not complicated, they're not expensive, but together they've helped her stay sharp, strong, and full of life well into her 90s. Helen's story is remarkable, but what makes it so powerful is that it's rooted in choices anyone can make. She didn't climb mountains or follow a secret formula. She simply built her days around 5 small, steady habits that have carried her through 9 vibrant decades. Let's pause and walk through them again. First, she moves every morning, before breakfast, before distractions, just enough to get her joints warm, her circulation flowing, and her mind awake. Second, she eats real food in full color. Her meals are made from simple ingredients, bright vegetables, fresh berries, lean proteins, and they fuel her from the inside out. Third, she keeps her brain busy and her purpose clear. Reading, volunteering, teaching crochet. These aren't just pastimes. They're reminders that her life still has meaning and momentum. Fourth, she stays connected. Letters, calls, church lunches. Even when it's not convenient, she makes time for others. Because relationships aren't just pleasant, they're life-giving. And finally, she laughs. On purpose. Every day in big and small ways, Helen invites joy. It's her secret to staying light on her feet and young at heart. You don't have to take on all 5 at once. Start with the one that calls to you most. Maybe it's walking for 10 minutes before breakfast. Maybe it's reaching out to an old friend. Pick one and make it yours. Then when it feels natural, stack another on top. Over time, they'll form a rhythm that carries you too. You're not too late. You're not too old. You're exactly the right age to begin something beautiful. Helen's 92 now. She still drives herself to the store. She still dances at church events. She still laughs loud enough to turn heads. And she still believes that the best years are the ones you fill with intention. So maybe this isn't the end of a video. Maybe it's the start of your own chapter, a fresh page, a new rhythm, a small change that leads to something big. Before we wrap up, if you've enjoyed hearing about Helen's inspiring journey and want more tips on living a vibrant, fulfilling life, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with someone who could use a little inspiration, and subscribe to our channel. We've got plenty more empowering stories and practical advice coming your way, and we don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you for joining us today. Keep moving, keep laughing, and remember, it's never too late to start.